I don't know about y'all, but I really hate long intros, so skip to this time if you want to skip this intro. For those of you who stayed, this video was meant to come out last Monday. I got sick, which I wasn't expecting, and I also wasn't expecting that it would just take me out completely. I could not focus on anything. So this video is coming out a lot later than it was supposed to be. Super sorry for that. And also because I was sick, I didn't get to do as much with the clips, put the clips with its corresponding parts. So sorry for the little bit sloppy editing, but I just wanted to get this out to you guys so that you didn't have to wait any longer. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to post last week, but that is why. But that's it for this intro. I hope you enjoy the video. So first off, I just want to say this film was absolutely incredible. This is one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. And I know for some of you that might be really high praise. I know for others, you probably absolutely agree with me. I feel like there are two types of people that see this movie, those that really didn't like it and those that absolutely love it. And I'm in the loved category. I really enjoyed this film. It was a nice break from the MCU format that we've just been so used to seeing. I think this and Moon Knight were just so unique and different that, you know, it's just nice to see. And I really enjoyed this film. That being said, I am now going to go into all the things I didn't like about this movie, because as much as I loved this movie, there were a couple of things I wasn't too happy about. Or first thing that I was like, come on, was the Living Tribunal tease. For those of you that don't know, I absolutely love the Living Tribunal. The Living Tribunal is one of the coolest characters, I think, in Marvel Comics. The dude is insane. And for them to just put this person in for a second. Not only is he insane, he is the second most powerful Marvel character ever. Like, no one comes close. Everyone talks about how powerful Scarlet Witch is. Everyone talks about all these other people. We'll mention one of them earlier. They don't compare to the Living Tribunal. The Living Tribunal is the most powerful character in all of Marvel Comics, second only to the one above all. That's it. The dude is insanely powerful, and for him to just show up for like a fleeting second in like a montage scene, I mean, it's just disrespectful, man. I don't know, it didn't serve any purpose, and it just raises more questions than anything answered. I am glad he's officially in the MCU, although that was already confirmed in the original Doctor Strange movie when Mordo's like explaining the weapons, and I forget which one it is, but he says, I think the staff of the Living Tribunal. So I don't really get why this was added. I mean, it was cool to see, but I want to like see the Living Tribunal. I want him to interact with characters and like be a part of the story. And I thought the tease was setting up something with the Book of Vishanti, when Doctor Strange would take it off and then he'd be transported to the realm of the Living Tribunal to be judged because it was too powerful and there would have to be another way. I thought that would have been really cool. I absolutely understand why they didn't go that route. I don't know. It just felt off that he was there. And, you know, just being this big Living Tribunal fan, the fact that the first time we ever, me just being this big Living Tribunal fan, the fact that this is the first time we ever see him in the MCU is kind of disappointing to me. The thing that probably made me the most upset, apart from the Living Tribunal, was that Nightmare was not the main villain. Now, after watching this movie, I've watched this movie twice now, and I get why. But throughout the movie, it just seemed like they were setting up Nightmare. So like everything seemed to be pointing towards Nightmare, and I don't think anyone's talking about this. Like throughout my first viewing of this movie, I was questioning when Nightmare would show up. Oh my gosh. I don't get why Wanda was the main villain. I was just waiting for Nightmare, or at least Chthon, which we'll get into that in a sec. But the fact that there was no Nightmare in this movie, that he wasn't the main villain, just freaking, it pissed me off. I thought the Fallen Strange, I thought he was just Nightmare in like another form, and everything just seemed to point to Nightmare, and the fact that he wasn't in this movie kind of disappointed me. But I'll leave it at that. It didn't ruin the film that he's not in it, but man, it seemed like they wanted to put him in somewhere. And I think that was Scott Derrickson's input right there, because it was originally stated that he actually said that he wanted Nightmare as the main villain of this movie when he was still director. So I was just kind of waiting for it, and it never happened. I was like, dang. The CW scene, the scene where America Chavez finds her powers was so cringe. I mean, I said this earlier in my spoiler-free review, but it felt like it was straight out of a CW show. You know, in The Flash where Barry would be down and then someone from his team would like have to pep talk him into it? It just felt like that. It got the job done in what needed to happen for the story to progress, but man, I think they could have done it in such a better way. Like Wong in America are like, it's okay if you take my power. I know, like, it's okay if you take my power. I know that this is how it has to be done. I know that's why you're here. And he goes, no, I'm here to tell you to trust yourself. It just felt so, I cringed in the theater. I was like, Anyway, let's move on to something else. It's not that big of a deal. It's just, like, why? It's like the climax of the movie. Excuse me, I think the mailman just came. My dog's barking. Clea. Finally in the MCU, about time. But man, that post-credit scene felt off, man. I mean, I don't think people are talking about Clea. For those of you that don't know, Doctor Strange's love interest from the comic. She's a super powerful sorceress. She's from the dark dimension, so she's actually Dormammu's niece. So her father was the original ruler of the dark dimension, and then her mother. So really cool tie-in to the original Doctor Strange and the fact that we'll probably see Dormammu again. That's also why when she opens the portal that you see the dark dimension there, is because that's where she's from. Clea's super cool character. But man, that scene felt weird. For the first time, we'd see Doctor Strange's wife. She was married to Strange in the comics. The fact that this is the first time we ever see Doctor Strange's wife, and it's just a super quick scene, and it's like, Strange, you caused an incursion. Now we gotta go fix it. And he's just kind of like, what's going on? And she's like, unless you're too scared to do it. And his third eye pops in, and then they just jump into the portal. I mean, it just felt so off. It felt weird. Like, I don't know if there's a time limit they have on post-credit scenes, but I wish they would have taken a little bit longer with this one. Which brings me to my final dislike. This movie should have been longer. It should have been. I don't understand why this wasn't longer. It makes no sense to me. Now, the length, I think I said this in my spoiler-free review, but the length doesn't ruin the film, but man, a longer runtime would have made this a lot better. But to be honest, I'm happy with what we got. I read something the other day that Raimi's original cut was 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I really hope they release all of that, because that would be insane. Now, I don't think we're going to get like Tom Cruise Iron Man or anything like that in deleted scenes or anything, but or Deadpool. I have no idea why people thought Deadpool was going to be in this movie. I'm going to be honest, I am super glad that we didn't see Deadpool in this movie. That would be such a lame introduction to the MCU for such a freaking awesome character. And as much as I want to see Ryan Reynolds in the MCU as soon as possible, I probably wouldn't pick this film. Alrighty, I can't not talk about the Illuminati anymore. A lot of people are complaining about the Illuminati, how they were treated. But oh my gosh, I thought it was absolute gold. First off, let me explain the Illuminati for a second. The Illuminati is straight from the comics. Some people were talking to me about the name and how lame that was. I was like, that's straight out of the comics. The Illuminati is straight out of the comics. They're this awesome group of people that make the tough decisions that people like the Avengers can't, even though a lot of the members are a part of the Avengers. Usually in the comics, it consists of Iron Man, Reed Richards, Namor the Submariner, which we didn't see in this film, Black Bolt, Professor X, Doctor Strange, and there's a lot of members that fluctuate between it. I think this version was super cool. I freaking flipped out when John Krasinski showed up. I did not think Black Bolt was going to be in this, and I did not think that Reed Richards was going to be in this. And oh my gosh, It was just insane. It was insane to finally see these characters on the big screen. And then Professor X coming in with the classic X-Men, the animated series theme. That was incredible. Chills down the spine. Chills, literal chills. I thought they did a fantastic job with the Illuminati. I know people are like super pissed that they killed them all off. But first off, this isn't the last time we're going to see these characters. I'm pretty sure Patrick Stewart has talked about coming back, even though this version of Professor X has died, obviously. We got to understand something, that because we are now in a multiverse age of the MCU, people that have died do not remain dead. Now, yes, they do in their main universe, but there are an infinite number of these people. We saw 4 different versions of Doctor Strange in this one film. Why would we think that there are not other versions of other characters? We saw another version of Wanda, and she said she'd seen more versions of herself with Billy and Tommy. We're going to see these characters again. Now, are we going to see John Krasinski, Reed Richards in main 616 MCU? I don't know. I sure hope we do. Oh my gosh. Me and Kevin Feige are going to have some beef if John Krasinski is not Reed Richards in the main MCU. I thought the scene where they all were killed by Wanda was amazing. And I think it goes to show a lot, 1, about these heroes, and 2, about how special main 616 Scarlet Witch is. Because a lot of people, I've seen online on like Twitter and stuff, why Reed Richards, the smartest man alive, would tell Wanda about Black Bolt's main power. But you got to keep this in mind. The Wanda that we're seeing in 838 Earth is not anywhere close to the same power level as main MCU 616 Wanda. Main MCU 616 Wanda is insanely powerful. She's read the Darkhold. She's experienced everything at Westview and with Vision and all this stuff. 838 Wanda has not gone through anything that the Wanda that we know has gone through. She didn't have to go through Vision getting killed by Thanos. She didn't have to kill Vision herself. She didn't go through Westview at all. So what we're seeing is Wanda in 838 is about the same power level as we saw Wanda in Age of Ultron. Maybe even Civil War. That is a Wanda insanely weaker than the Scarlet Witch we see in Multiverse of Madness. So when Reed and the rest of the Illuminati are like, oh, we can handle Wanda, they're thinking Age of Ultron Wanda, which I'm pretty sure at that point Captain America himself probably could have taken Wanda back in Age of Ultron. Another thing I really liked about that scene was Reed mentioning his wife and kids. Now, for those of you that don't know, that is a huge reference to Franklin Richards, which, if you don't know who Franklin Richards is, dude is insanely powerful. He's like a celestial in a human body. Like, the dude is insane. And so Franklin Richards just being mentioned in the MCU is a big thing. I wonder if they'll do it. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure if they get to the Secret Wars point, which seems to be where everything is pointing towards, that new kind of endgame level event seems to be Secret Wars. I'm sure they'll put Franklin Richards in there, but I don't know at this point. I don't know when they'll put him in. And I'm also thinking about how much they're going to have to nerf Franklin, because I mean, this dude is insane. He is so powerful. I mean, y'all don't even know. Like, read some of the comics that Franklin Richards is. Dude's absolutely insane. The last thing I'm gonna say with the Illuminati, because I feel like I've talked about him too much, is I loved the Ultron Sentries. I thought that was a cool way of showing that Reed Richards really is the smartest person on Earth. If you think about it, in the main 616 universe, Tony Stark is pretty much the smartest man that we know of right now. Him and like Shuri. That's it. Tony Stark couldn't figure out Ultron. Ultron failed. But with Reed made the perfect Ultron. So I thought that was really cool. But the Ultron Sentries in the Illuminati's kind of like headquarters acts more of like an Iron Legion thing than they do like Ultron. Okay. Doctor Strange is starting to turn into my favorite character in the MCU. And I love that we're not seeing him as like Sorcerer Supreme Strange, because Sorcerer Supreme Strange is like insane. But what we're seeing is his journey to that point. which I think is so cool. I think they're doing what the same thing they did with Spider-Man is like we're seeing his evolution. We're seeing his slowly turning more and more to the Spider-Man we know and love in the comic throughout his movies. And I think we're seeing that with Strange right now, which I'm really enjoying. Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen freaking does a fantastic job in this movie. You kind of got a glimpse of how powerful could be in Endgame, with her going toe-to-toe with Thanos. But you also got to remember that that's a no Infinity Gauntlet, 5 years less of experience Thanos. But still, we got a little glimpse of the power level of Scarlet Witch, and then we just saw her freaking go just ham on the Illuminati, freaking demolish Convertov, and then Doctor Strange can't even do nothing about it. The only way they stopped her is the fact that Billy and Tommy were there seeing her, seeing the monster that she'd become. That's it. They could not stop her. I don't think a lot of people could have stopped her at that point. If she decided to keep going, I think you would have to get a Franklin Richards, Beyonder, Celestial type being to step in to have stopped her at that point. She is insanely powerful. Can't wait to see her in future MCU projects. I know what y'all are thinking. Wait, but she might be dead. She's not dead. Are you freaking kidding me? You don't see a character that powerful just die because a temple collapsed in on herself. No, she's alive. I'm sorry. She's alive. That's not the end of Wanda. America Chavez was a delight. I'm pretty much just going to say what I did in the spoiler-free review because I don't have a lot more to say. She did at sometimes feel like a plot device, and just that. I wish they developed her character a little bit more. Most of what they explained about her backstory was straight from the comics. She was an enjoyable character. I was afraid she might be kind of annoying. She wasn't at all. I think the actress did an incredible job with her. Man, the effects, the visuals for her portals were insanely cool. I love that. I know I've been saying Marvel 616 a lot, and we finally got it confirmed that in the MCU, the main Marvel universe is 616, which for a little while was in doubt because it was said that the main Marvel universe, overall, so comics and movies, was 616. But I think they're changing that now to just make it less confusing. And because I think it's hard to tie in comics and movies in references. So I just think they did that to make it a little bit easier for everyone to understand. The Book of Vishanti, kind of a letdown, not gonna lie. There's only one of those in the main MCU that we know of. And it was just destroyed. We didn't see it at all. Which is okay as long as we see the Vishanti at some point. Now, if you don't know about the Vishanti, they're elder gods. They're super cool. They're magic gods that kind of give Doctor Strange a ton of his power. So it's almost like a Moon Knight Khonshu relationship, except not to that extent. Doctor Strange doesn't serve the Vishanti, but he derives a lot of his power from the contract that he has with the Vishanti in the comics. Now, in the MCU, it's not that yet. Maybe when he's Sorcerer Supreme, we might get into Vishantis, but I thought that was a cool reference, and I hope we do see them in the main MCU at some point. Speaking of elder gods, Chthon was pretty much confirmed in the MCU. I don't remember if he got a name drop, and if he did, it just blew right past me. Chthon, for those of you who don't know, is Marvel's version of Cthulhu. He's pretty much the elder god of chaos magic, which is what Scarlet Witch uses. He created the Darkhold. I don't know when we'll see him or even if we'll see him, but just the continual references to Chthon have just been really cool because I've always wondered how deep the MCU would go into the mythology. But I think that's about it from me. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions about things that I mentioned or things that I might not have mentioned. Let me know if I got anything wrong. I probably did at some point. And let me know what you thought of the movie, all down in the comment section below. But until the next time, peace out, bro skillets, and have yourselves an incredible day.